as Hawaii Kai can't seem to get room. Hawaii Kai can't seem to move out. Now she backs off a little bit. Al Benson is moving around up in the west turn area. Now they'll begin to maneuver. There's your overall battle of strategy as Hawaii Kai slowed down with Bill Muncy playing it very cagey, going down, starting off in a hurry, then making a complete circle. He's on the inner lane. The Miss Seattle is just coming off the top of the turn out of the west turn area. The Wahoo is just next to her. Ready for the, they're counting it off. Here come the boats. Miss Seattle is on the inside. Wahoo is next to her. Here comes Muncy and Miss Thriftway, and here comes Regis on the outside in the Hawaii Kai. And Muncy has it rolling real good. He's going to get off to a beautiful start, I think. And so is Hawaii Kai. And Wahoo is on the inside corner. It's going to be close. There is the gun. Here's the start. Hawaii Kai first over the line, followed by Muncy in second place, and Wahoo on the inside corner, and Miss Seattle was last. Now let's see who is first through that corner. Wahoo is on the inside corner in good position, and she's really stepping out. And Miss Thriftway is drowned out. Miss Thriftway is drowned out. She's dead in the water here in the in lane. Coming out of the east turn now, we have Hawaii Kai in first place. The Miss Thriftway is dead before she even got to the east turn. In second place, we have Miss Wahoo. In third place, just coming out of the east turn, is the Miss Seattle. Just up the backstretch now in the first time around the course. 30 miles in all. First heat, first section of the first heat. Hawaii Kai with Jack Regis at the wheel. Halfway up the backstretch. And Wahoo is having a little bit of trouble. Benson on the inside corner. Here's your lead boat. Going into the three-quarter mark of the backstretch of his first time around, Jack Regis. And the Miss Thriftway is okay, but she's not running. In your west turn, Hawaii Kai and Myra Slovak driving that inside lane. Ala Joe Taggart is hot on the heels of Hawaii Kai. And in third place is Miss Seattle with Al Benson at the wheel. He's suffering rough going back there in that rough water. Out of the west turn now comes the Hawaii Kai as we have Miss Wahoo kicking after it. And both boats are going to come dead down to the path of Miss Thriftway. Over the line at the end of lap one goes Hawaii Kai. In second place is Miss Wahoo. Had trouble coming out of the west turn. Here she comes down at the end of her first lap. We'll have the time difference for you in just a minute between first and second. In third place is Miss Seattle. First time around, 113 miles an hour for Hawaii Kai. Miss Seattle in third place just completed her first lap into the east turn up the backstretch. And we have a total of 13 seconds between first and second. And in third place, Miss Seattle is 7 seconds behind second place. Here's your relative difference between first and the rest of the field. That Hawaii Kai is a going concern. The slow motion Ford crew really had her ready. They have charge of the boat now. Jack Regis at the wheel. Wahoo is in second place. Al Benson and Miss Seattle just coming out of the east turn now in third place. And the Miss Thriftway is not started. First place boat going into the west turn. Hawaii Kai, Jack Regis at the wheel. In second place, we have Miss Wahoo, about 13 seconds behind. And the time for the boat is about the same as it was before, so you'll average pretty close to 113 miles an hour again, I think. Here's your first place boat completing lap number 2 in first place. Hawaii Kai, Jack Regis at the wheel. Wahoo just coming out of the west turn now, making your turns a little bit better. And Hawaii Kai booming down the course, going by the dead in the water Miss Thriftway with Bill Muncy at the wheel. 110 miles an hour for the second lap for the lead boat. Miss Wahoo completing her second lap, and Hawaii Kai goes into the east turn in first place. And Al Benson and Miss Seattle comes out of the west turn in third place. Hawaii Kai well out in front, and Miss Wahoo running in second. Up the backstretch now. Watch the rooster tail kick high. Al Benson just completed his second lap. He's 15 seconds behind the second place boat. And the second place boat is 19 seconds back of first. Here is Hawaii Kai now moving up the backstretch on her third lap. In first place, she's moving out the distance between herself and the second place boat, with Benson and Miss Seattle still having a chance to catch Miss Wahoo. Jack Regis with the field to himself, and Bill Muncie not able to get the boat started. He's standing back on the fantail. And Jack Regis has backed off the wheel as he goes into the west turn. He's backed off considerably on his speed. He had 113 and 110 the first two times around. He's three-quarters of the way through the west turn. This is his third lap. He's in first place. He led right from the start. Had a beautiful running start from that outside corner. Hawaii Kai out of the west turn on her third lap. End of lap 3. Hawaii Kai out in front. And in second place, coming out of the west turn on the third time around the course, 109 miles an hour for Hawaii Kai on her third lap. Miss Wahoo in second place and losing considerable distance. She was 13 seconds behind at the end of the first lap, 19 seconds on the end of the second lap, and now let's see what she'll be. That's Hawaii Kai going into the east turn. You see her from the hill camera position. And now the second place boat, Miss Wahoo, is 23 seconds behind the first place boat as she passes our barge here on the third time around. Al Benson just coming out of the west turn. Here's Hawaii Kai really streaking it up that backstretch. And we have Wahoo going into the east turn just now. So both boats on the opposite sides of the course. Benson has completed his third time around the course. Well back. Hawaii Kai, three-quarters of the way up the backstretch now, and her fourth time around the course. 10 times around, 30 miles to a Gold Cup heat. This is Heat 1A, with Miss Swiftway out of the race for this particular heat. Getting off to a wonderful start. She evidently was drowned out or something happened. Your second place boat is Miss Wahoo, just coming out of the turn on her fourth time around the course. Meanwhile, we have the lead boat out of the west turn, just off the top of the west turn, swinging fairly wide and going a little bit faster than she did on her previous lap. Miss Wahoo is three-quarters of the way up the backstretch, and Al Benson is just coming out of the east turn. Here's your lead boat coming down the straightaway, 1,000 feet away from the finish of her fourth lap. In first place, Hawaii Kai. Now we wait for the second place boat to move around as we watch Hawaii Kai disappear on the foam of the wake down toward the east corner. 111 miles an hour for the fourth time around for Hawaii Kai. So she's showing them quite a race out there. She's really ready, this one. Hawaii Kai down by the pit area. Notice that boy Regis really wheeling through there. Meanwhile, Wahoo comes out of the west turn and is getting ready to complete her fourth lap in second place. And we'll give you the time differential between the two boats. 37 seconds, so there's a build-up for you. 13, 19, 23, and now 37 seconds difference between the first and second place boat. Your lead boat up that backstretch. A Rolls engine, and incidentally, that's the engine out of the old Slow Motion 5, the one the Lou Fagel flipped. And here comes the completion of the fourth lap for the third place boat, Miss Seattle. As you watch the second place boat go into the east turn, that's Wahoo, driven by Myra Slovak. Up the backstretch, three-quarters of the way up the backstretch, and the fifth time around, leading in this race in the first heat of the Lake Chelan Apple Cup. That's your third place boat going into the east turn. And going into the west turn is the lead boat, Hawaii Kai, with Jack Regis at the wheel on the fifth time around. Wahoo is just coming out of the east turn now. The boats are pretty well spread out. Third place boat is 21 seconds behind the second place boat. The second place boat is 37 seconds behind the first place boat. Hawaii Kai just now coming out of the west turn. Here she comes, Jack Regis at the wheel at the 1,000-foot mark, 500 feet away. That's the end of lap 5. In first place, Hawaii Kai going down to the east turn for a sixth time around the course. Here's your east turn. Now let's watch the way he takes it down there. Give you a brief idea of what it looks like. Look how smoothly that boat rides. Man, that boy Regis is really driving a race. 105 miles an hour the last time around for Hawaii Kai. Nice turning, Jack. Real close. Look at him slide that boat around there. Out of the east turn now comes, or out of the west turn rather, comes Miss Wahoo. End of lap 5 for Miss Wahoo, who is in second place. Al Benson is just rounding off the top of the west turn. One goes one way. Hawaii Kai just finished her sixth lap going down to the east turn for her seventh time around the course. Wahoo just goes into the west turn, and Miss Seattle is coming out of the east turn. on her 6th time around the course. I doubt very much if Regis will attempt a lapping. He won't push that boat. He'll want those 400 points. 106 miles an hour for Hawaii Kai at the end of lap number 6. And in a barrel of spray goes the the Hawaii Kai on her 7th lap out of the east turn. And your west turn with a 2nd place boat coming down to complete her 6th lap. Wahoo, quite a ways behind. 3rd place boat is 29 seconds past the back of the 2nd place boat. And now Myra Slovak is running 45 seconds behind the 1st place boat. Here's your 1st place boat. 3/4 of the way up the backstretch. Brother, there's a thing of beauty for you. Hawaii Kai. Miss Wahoo, 98 miles an hour on that 6th lap. Here's your lead boat going into the west turn as Miss Seattle completes her 6th lap in 3rd place. The lead boat out of the west turn. And a time differential between 2nd and 3rd of 30 seconds. Between 1st and 2nd, 45. Miss Wahoo in 2nd place. And just rounding out of the east turn is Miss Seattle in 3rd place. There's Wahoo. She's just approaching the deceleration point of the west turn. This is on her 7th time around the course. 106 miles an hour for Hawaii Kai on the 7th time around the course. Her slowest lap was in the 5th one. She had 105 miles an hour. Hawaii Kai running first from wire to wire up to this point, with Wahoo some 45 seconds back in 2nd place. Here's your 1st place boat. A wonderful shot of her. She gathers speed coming off that 5th buoy over there. And let's make a quick pan to the 2nd place boat now to show you just how far back she is. Way over here on this side of the course. There goes Hawaii Kai. And here comes Miss Wahoo down the inland run. Miss Seattle is just coming off the top of the west turn, completing her 7th lap. Hawaii Kai going into the west turn area as you look at her at the deceleration point. Jack Regis at the wheel of the boat that is now owned by Slow Motion 4, formerly owned by Edgar Kaiser. Here's your eastern area, and Miss Wahoo going into that eastern area. Miss Seattle has just completed her 7th lap. No lappings as yet. 3 boats left out of the 4. We have no report on Muncie. Your lead boat. Let's give you the time differential at the end of 7 laps. Hawaii Kai running in 1st place. Wahoo in 2nd, 54 seconds behind. And Miss Seattle in 3rd place, 33 seconds behind the 2nd place boat. Hawaii Kai over the line in 1st place at the end of lap number 8. And Wahoo is over on the far side, coming around to complete her lap number 8. She's on the far side of the course, approaching the 3/4 mark of the backstretch. 100 miles an hour for Hawaii Kai, as that is the slowest lap she's had to date. Her previous slowest was the 5th, 105 miles an hour. Meanwhile, Bill Muncie is being drawn off the course by one of the patrol boats. Hawaii Kai running on her 9th lap. She has 1 more to go after this. Hawaii Kai is in 1st place. Miss Wahoo is in 2nd. Miss Seattle averaged 97 miles an hour on the 7th lap. As they stretch out now, we can give you individual timing. Here's Bill Muncie in Miss Thriftway. Didn't even get a lap under his belt. Dead at the east turn. Miss Wahoo coming down to complete her 8th lap. And Miss Seattle is just going into the west turn area. Miss Wahoo with Myra Slovak at the wheel is 55 seconds behind in 2nd place. 100 miles an hour for Miss Wahoo. She stepped up the pace a bit. Her best previous lap was around 98 miles an hour in the 6th lap. Miss Wahoo just completed her 8th lap in 2nd place. Benson is coming out of the west turn now, and Regis's boat is acting up a little bit as the water roughens up a bit in that west turn area. It missed a little bit. Your lead boat on the top of the west turn, and Miss Seattle coming down past us in the judges' stand to complete her lap. That's Miss Seattle going down the course toward the east turn, and out of the west turn comes Hawaii Kai, and Wahoo on the backstretch. And there goes Hawaii Kai as she just completed lap number 9 in 1st place. Wahoo is coming up the backstretch, completing her 9th lap. She's 3/4 of the way up the backstretch. 100 miles an hour for Hawaii Kai in the 9th lap. Wahoo running in 2nd place, approaching the deceleration point of the west turn. And Al Benson of Miss Seattle running in 3rd place, as he has from the start when Muncie was dropped dead in the water just before the approach to the east turn, is coming up the backstretch now, as Hawaii Kai is on her 10th and final time around the course. Al Benson is getting ready to complete lap number 9. There will not be a lapping in this one. Hawaii Kai just coming off the turn for the 10th and final time out of the eastern area, up the backstretch, and Jack Regis must be a real happy boy. And so must that slow motion 4 crew. Here comes Wahoo to complete her 9th lap. Myra Slovak running in 2nd place. He's 58 seconds behind in 2nd place. He lost 3 seconds that time. At the end of the first lap, he was 13 seconds behind. Now it's up to 58, almost a minute. Here's your lead boat approaching the north. I knew I'd have to say that sooner or later. Approaching the west turn. I just lost the bet to Lee Shulman. He said I'd say it before he would. Miss Seattle is just completing her 9th lap. She's coming down now, and here is the Hawaii Kai off the west turn, getting ready now to complete her 10th time around the course with the checkered flag coming up. In first place from wire to wire goes Hawaii Kai at the 1,000-foot mark, 500 feet away, and over the line, winner of Heat 1A, Hawaii Kai with Jack Regis at the wheel, a real happy kid. His speed on the 10th and final lap, 100 miles an hour, so he never fell under 100 miles an hour ever. Up the backstretch goes the Wahoo. She's at the 3/4 point of the backstretch of her 10th lap, and we'll see what the time differential was between 1st and 2nd place. Al Benson is just going out of the east turn area. Approaching the deceleration point of the west turn is Miss Wahoo, Myra Slovak at the wheel. You can see how rough the water gets out there when those boats constantly churn it up. And the west turn is particularly tough. Here, your 2nd place boat now on the buoy. That's buoy number 3 in that turn at the top of the turn. Buoy number 4. And buoy number 5. He's really wheeling it to her. Myra Slovak will arrive in 2nd place, getting the checkered flag for his 10th and final time around the course. He had a tough man to follow, Hawaii Kai, averaging over 100 miles an hour. And there's 2nd and 3rd place. Miss Wahoo has completed 10 laps in 2nd place. And in 3rd place, just rounding into the north turn, or the west turn area, is the Miss Seattle. On the 4th buoy, Al Benson making his first start in unlimited hydroplanes, driving a real steady, heady race there in 3rd place. And the Miss Thriftway, who was one of 4 that started, didn't even make it to the first turn. She's out of it, and we'll check and find out what's the matter with her and see whether she'll be available for the 2nd heat.
It's coming in. Let's go, Tom. Out here to see Jack. And Myra Slovak and Miss Wahoo. Myra placing 2nd in Heat 1, Section A. And, of course, Jack Regis and Hawaii Kai placing 3rd. The Thriftway crew is now out alongside their boat, and Bill Muncie seems extremely dejected on the side and is explaining to the crew what happened. We'll talk also to Bill Muncie here. Let's swing around over here, Tom, and talk to Jack a minute. Or here's Myra. Here's Myra. Myra, good race, boy. Here comes your line, Myra. We'll talk to Myra here just... There it goes. As he throws his line ashore, Wahoo placing 2nd, a good consistent race all the way. Let's go up and catch Myra here on the end. Here, Myra. I think we can talk. You yell up a little bit. How did the boat perform for you?
Very nice.
How about the start?
Well, I was a little bit slow on takeoff, but later on it was pretty good.
The distance between you and Jack remained about the same all the time, didn't it?
No, he was picking up. I was getting slower.
I see. Thanks, Myra. Well, come on, Tom. Let's go over here and talk to Jack Regis now. All we have to do is make sure that Tom holds out on us as the beautiful Miss Wahoo comes by, owned by Bill Boeing Jr. Here we come to this very beautiful boat, whose colors no one apparently can describe. Sort of a lovely, soft violet and pink. Hello, Jack. Hey, I hope we don't drown you out, fella. Wonderful race, Jack.
It was a swell race.
That was quite a start you got. You were right at the...
No, I was a little late again. I mean, I was a little too soon. I had to hold back a little. But acceleration makes up for it.
How did the boat perform as far as you're concerned?
Beautifully.
Well, nobody was gaining on you. We said Myra said that he was dropping back consistently.
Well, I was holding about the same speed, I think. I dropped down a little.
I noticed last time that you were out there was a little, not missing, but, sort of a, shall we say, uneven acceleration sound, but she sounded real swell here in the race. It didn't sputter.
Well, we're running a little rich yet. We're all right, though. We'll be out there for next heat.
Yeah, I think you will. You drove a terrific race, Jack. How about those corners? You seemed like you were really master there.
No, I goofed a couple of times on a couple of them.
Where, up on the other end?
No, this end here. It's a bad end.
Was it too narrow?
Oh, no, it's beautiful. It's too wide.
Okay, thanks a lot,
All
Jack
right.
Regas. Hey, Jack? What's that? Oh, okay, a message to Jack Regas, who drove a beautiful race in the Hawaii Kai. And Tom Welty, you drove a beautiful race here in our little speedster, too. So now let's go back to Bill O'Mara.
Here on the barge, we have an unofficial tabulation for you. 106.825 miles an hour that's official. And our time will come out at about 17 minutes, 4 7/10 seconds on total elapsed time for the lead boat, Hawaii Kai, on Heat 1A. Well, let's tell you just exactly what happened. The Hawaii Kai, the winning Heat 1A, picks up a total of 400 points. Second place is worth 300 points to Miss Wahoo. And third place to Miss Seattle is worth 225. Now we have another heat coming up, Heat 1B, in which there will be 3 boats, Miss Bardall, Shanty, and Maverick. The Miss Thriftway will change engines, and she'll have to really go for broke when she gets drawn for her second heat. This is your scoring setup. Let me again repeat the official time to you, 106.825 for our good friend Jack Regas in Hawaii Kai on his 10 times around the course here in the first heat of the first annual Apple Cup. And his total elapsed time unofficially on our clock is 17 minutes, 4 7/10 seconds. That total elapsed time, of course, is tremendously important, but those figures are unofficial. The first one we gave you was official.
Talk in these hydroplane races, wherever they're held, about the inherent danger involved in piloting a craft that speedily over the waters. Here's a man who's going to fly over these waters without power. In one sense, he'll be towed. This is Mr. George Quinn of Everett, Washington. I understand, George, you're a member of the yacht club here at Chelan.
Yes, sir.
And will you explain this strange contrivance here, which is obviously a kite?
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, we've been fooling around with water skiing, and we're always looking for something.
George, we'll get back to you in a moment if we have time in a few minutes, but right now to Bill O'Mara.
And very quickly down to Tom Dargan. Tom, where are you rolling that boat, boy?
Well, we have a young man here who had some bad luck and who at the moment is standing with a singed eyelash and singed eyebrows. Bill Muncie. Bill, I think if you step over here, we can see all right if I don't fall in.
Have a king performance.
Bill, what happened?
We were making a good start, and we were coming up there pretty fast, and I got past the starting line all right, and then all of a sudden a lot of smoke came out, and I didn't know what was happening. I was still getting a good reading on the dashboard, and then all of a sudden I saw a real bad fire. So I turned all the switches off, and I couldn't get out of the cockpit quite fast enough, and the fire got going. I grabbed the fire extinguisher, and I slipped on the oil that was on the deck, and the fire extinguisher went flying all everywhere, and I got to the fire a little late.
You had a beautiful start going. You were in the #1 spot, weren't you, Bill?
Yeah, we were running good.
I know you haven't had a chance to talk to Jack Ramsey, the crew chief, yet, but you think that this is going to be repairable?
I don't know. You see, we've got another engine we could drop in, but in Gold Cup rules, you have to run all 3 heats to get any bonus points. So it might be possible. I don't know what our decision's going to be yet, Tommy. I haven't had a chance to talk to him.
Well, that's an awful lot of tough luck after such a beautiful start, Bill. Yeah, I know you are, kid. Thanks very much. Might point out that that fire in a hydroplane is not anything to laugh about. they can come very rapidly, and as you know, the fuel which is used in these unlimited hydroplanes is extremely volatile. Bill Muncie's left eyebrow is practically singed off completely. His eyelashes on his left eye are very short and curled from where they were singed off. So Bill got a terrific blast of flame, but he apparently, his skin apparently isn't burned at all, and he's relatively calm. Of course, as you probably can determine, and many of you know, one of the basic requirements for driving or operating unlimited hydroplanes is also unlimited courage. Bill Muncie certainly has that. In the President's Cup, he drove to a finish and to a win with one sponson almost entirely gone. He won the Gold Cup with his decking breaking off the top of the bow of the hydroplane and whistling past his ears like shell fragments. So this is one commodity in which this boy has the long suit. I don't know how his eyes were burned, or I should say his eyebrows and eyelashes. He must have had his goggles off, perhaps to better see his dashboard, and as he told you, to see the readings. Now let's go back to Bill O'Mara.
Here on the O'Barge, we have been told here on the barge, we've been told by Harry Woods that Miss Thriftway is out of the race from here on in. She cannot change engines. She didn't complete this first 10 laps. She must complete the 90 miles to be eligible, and this is the official word from Harry Woods. Her time just elapsed 30 seconds ago while Tom was talking, and I don't know whether Miss Thriftway has been told this or not, but she's out. She's through for the afternoon, and now reverts to a 3-heat race. All of the boats have circled around up on the far end of the lake. They all are determined to come flying in there, I guess. That's the way they've timed it out in their practice run. Bert Ross, who holds some 5 records in F-hydro and D-hydro racing, is handling the clock and is getting ready to go. The next one you hear will be the 1-minute gun. Art Shorey, of course, who has handled a lot of timing elements over at Lake Washington during the Gold Cup and the Seafarer, is over here to help out the Lake Chelan officials in their 5th annual Apple Cup. There is the 1-minute gun. The Maverick and the Shanty are circling around way up at the top of the lake, and Norm Evans, the local boy, driving in Miss Bardol, just coming down past the judges' stand on the 1-minute gun. And I think that Bardol is having trouble. She doesn't seem right. He's looking down at his oil pressure. But we'll take a look at these other 2 boats that are up at the far side of the lake, Maverick and Shanty. And looks like Bardol might be going down toward the pits, but I think she's just swinging wide. We'll keep an eye on her. The other 2 boats are laying in there neck and neck way up the top of the lake. There's going to be no false start here. They got 18 seconds left to go, and they're well out. And Bardol has gone into the pits. Miss Bardol has gone into the pits. That's all for her. It's a 2-boat race. A couple of stablemates, Maverick and Shanty. There's the gun, and here's the start. They're down there, dead even. It's Maverick on the outside, and Shanty on the inside. And that's in relation to us, of course, on the judges' stand on the land side. Now let's watch them as they boom into that corner, neck and neck. This is the kind of an exhibition they put on last night out here. Tremendous speed into that corner now. And let's see who'll be first out. There is the U-12. Into that corner now. Let's see who comes out of that corner first as I look down there to buoy 10. They're on the top of the turn in the east area. Maverick in the lead. But of course, Shanty riding on that inside corner. She's up there on the inside. So it's a dead even race. Bardol is out of it. She went back to the pits. Neck and neck as they go up that stretch. Neck and neck. It's Shanty on the inside. It's Maverick on the outside. This is lap 1. 3/4 of the way up the backstretch. A tremendous duel between 2 boys. Maverick out in front on the outside. This is a rarity for Colonel Rush Slade to be running on the inside. And now, Maverick is pressed over at the deceleration point. And as in the inside corner, Colonel Rush Slade driving on that tight inside corner. And now Maverick is forced to swing wide. They're neck and neck as they come around that corner. This is the end of lap 1 coming up as they straighten out for the run for home. And the crowd really gets up on their feet for this one. Maverick on the outside, a half boat length out in front as they approach the 1,000-foot mark. And now he's attempting to cross over. One second difference between first and second. And you have Colonel Rush Slade going to the fore from the outside. Average speed first time around for Maverick, 106 miles an hour. For Shanty, 105.882. About a second or so difference between them as far as the boat position is concerned. Now here they go. Into the east turn. A tough battle between two boats. One of them could get drowned out of the lane, and they're so close to one another. Halfway through the east turn. These boats are real hard to identify. Maverick has the straight fin, and the Shanty with an American flag in the middle of the tail fin and a dip in that fin. That's about the best way you can identify them. Shanty on the inside, Maverick on the out. And there's a great two-boat race for you. Bardall is out of it. Went back to the pits before even the start of the race. Norm Evans seemed to be having trouble. That last-minute engine change didn't work out. Maverick on the outside, Shanty on the inside, as Colonel Rush Slade is having trouble on that upland stretch. Maverick taking over in first place. Your lead boat passed the deceleration point. And surprisingly enough, Bill Stead runs out wide. And your second place boat just past the deceleration point is Colonel Rush Slade and Shanty. Bill Waggoner's two boats out here running it right down to the wire. Give and take. Great performance. Here they are coming over here. Whoa, baby. Look at Slade swing wide on an inside corner as Maverick holds in there. And now Slade goes to the outside, losing distance on that terrific turn through the west turn area. Losing lots of distance. 3 seconds difference in the two boats. And now Shanty is on the outside. That's where he likes to run. He crossed over there deliberately. He boomed into that west turn. Now he's going down to the east turn. It's Maverick on the inside. It's Slade and Shanty on the outside as they go into the east turn. Third time around the course. Shanty running out there on the outside and Maverick in first place. There was 1 second difference between the two boats at the end of the first lap. There's now 3 seconds difference between the two boats. Shanty in second place, rounding midway through the turn, as Maverick seems to be going through that east turn a little bit better than Colonel Rush Slade. And look at him go on that outside corner, but brother, he has to go. It's like Al Smith said, stomp on it, boy, turn left. And so is Bill Stead in Maverick, as for the first time we're seeing this boat truthfully perform the way everybody figured she would. Now she's really moving away from Colonel Rush Slade in Shanty. Maverick out in front, 3/4 of the way up the backstretch. Probably at least 5 or 6 seconds difference with Shanty 1. 3/4 of the way up the backstretch. A tremendously exciting duel out here between two boats owned by Bill Wagner, with Miss Bardall scheduled to start in this heat out of the race. In this particular heat, halfway through the west turn, in the third time around the course, the lead boat is Maverick and Shanty in second place, not too far away. Both these turns seem to affect these boys differently. One gains in one, loses in the other. They switch around. Rush Slade still driving very wide, and Stead is driving fairly wide himself. 500 feet away, over the line. In the lead at the end of 3 laps, Maverick. And in second place, here comes Shanty. Shanty in second place. A total of 10 seconds difference in the two boats as Maverick goes into the east turn. Bill Stead driving in Maverick, approaching the east turn. 100 miles an hour average for Shanty and 108 miles an hour average for Maverick. He really stepped on it. So Maverick has averaged 106, 106, and 108, and 105, 105, and 100 for Shanty. Shanty had a little tough luck on that last time around. Here's your race. As you go through that east turn area, Maverick out in front, just rounding out of the turn now, off the 5th and final buoy, and Shanty is halfway through the turn. A two-boat race, as we had a total of 7 eligible for this Apple Cup race, and now we're down in count. Bardall is in the pits, wasn't able to get moving. Wasn't even able to make the 1-minute gun. Here's your first place boat, halfway through the backstretch. Bill Stead and Maverick, driving a great race in Heat 1B. In second place, well back and losing ground steadily, is Colonel Rush Slade in Shanty, the number 1 boat in the United States. Past the deceleration point into the west turn goes the Maverick. Bill Stead, the boy from Reno, Nevada. Here's your first place boat, halfway through the west turn. And hot on his heels coming into the deceleration point of the west turn is Colonel Rush Slade in Shanty. Now let's watch the area of operation. Whoa, baby, take it easy, son. Here's your differential between the two boats. Colonel Rushleigh on the far side of your screen, just going into the west turn. Out of the west turn, down the runway for the fourth time comes the number 1 boat, Maverick. Maverick out in front now and increasing his distance all the way. Maverick leading. Colonel Rushleigh just out of the west turn, swinging wide. Coming down now on the line. Colonel Rushleigh trying to get his boat moving. Well, he's stepping on it, but isn't really moving for him. Now, that's the end of lap number 3. Shanty is running in second place, 15 seconds back. He was 1 second behind Maverick at the end of the first lap, 3 seconds behind at the end of the second, 10 at the end of the third, and now at the end of the fourth, he's 15 seconds away. We into the east turn go those two boats in this tremendous two-boat struggle out here, as we have Maverick just rounding out of the east turn and Shanty just going into the turn. So on the far side of your screen, Maverick going up the backstretch, and Colonel Rushleigh halfway through the east turn. Maverick up the backstretch now, just a quarter of the way up, just gathering speed. Watch that rooster tail move in there. Now he's halfway through the backstretch and moving very nicely. This water is very much to his liking. This boat, originally known as the Rebel Sir, first driven incidentally by Colonel Rushleigh in his first opportunity some several years back, but wasn't able to finish. He hit something and sank the boat at Lake Washington right off the Mount Baker pit. Now approaching the deceleration point, your number 1 boat, and halfway through the backstretch on his lap. In second place comes Colonel Rushleigh in Shanty. Now at the top of the west turn, on his 5th time around the course, halfway through his 10-lap effort, comes Maverick, running in first place, off the 5th buoy, and making his turn a little bit tighter. Colonel Rushleigh picking up on him just a little bit. Schley sliding in tight now on the corners. That one bad lap cost him quite a bit of time. 500 feet away, over the line, in first place goes Maverick. At the end of lap 5, Maverick leads. Now let's see the time differential between the two boats in a matter of seconds. 109 miles an hour for Maverick at the end of lap 5. 500 feet away, 200. End of lap 5 for Shanty in second place. And a total of 19 seconds difference between first and second place as we go into the east turn now. 3/4 of the way through the east turn. Maverick moving very nicely, and Colonel Rushleigh hot after him. Schley on the near side, and Maverick on the far side. One going up, one going, one coming. That's about the best way you can put it. All right, here we go. Now let's see. He's past buoy 10 now. Watch that rooster tail kick high out there as you watch Colonel Rushleigh disappear in the foam down through the east turn. He's halfway through the turn, and halfway up the backstretch comes your lead boat, Maverick, with Bill Stead at the wheel, and the kid is really getting himself loose. Man, he must be having a ball out there for himself. Here's your first place boat approaching the west turn on the deceleration buoy, and he backs off when he gets about 300 feet past it. And second place halfway up the backstretch, Colonel Rushleigh in Shanty. Coming midway through the west turn on his 6th time around the course in first place in this two-boat race, Maverick. The boat formerly known as Rebel Sir. It was built originally by Ted Jones and designed to win the crack the straightaway mile record. But they have turned it into a competition boat, and it's a Lulu, isn't it? Here he is, 500 feet away from the end of lap 6. Bill Stead. A picture of studied concentration at the end of 6 laps in first place. Just rounding out of the west turn now for 5th buoy. 110 miles an hour for Maverick. Man, she seems like she can go forever out there. Colonel Rushleigh coming down the inside lane now. His boat bouncing and weaving out there as he's catching the wash from the Maverick, which is red hot. That's the end of lap 6 for Shanty in second place, and he is now 24 seconds behind the first place boat. Here's your relative position between the boats. You have the boat of Maverick with Bill Stead at the wheel. Both boats owned by Bill Wagner from Texas by way of Phoenix, Arizona, by way of Knapp Island in up here in the Pacific Northwest. And in second place, Colonel Rushleigh just going down into the east turn. Up the backstretch now, 1/4 of the way up the backstretch. Maverick is beginning to move as Bill Stead really romps on it. Man, he's not backing off any little bit. 3/4 of the way through the backstretch comes a beautiful riding boat. Look at the nose on that boat. Man, she's really laying in there good. And Colonel Rushleigh is having his trouble coming out of the east turn. He can't seem to get the boat out from underneath. And that's the penalty you suffer when you lay back in the ruck and you have to cut across that wake. Here's your Shanty boat coming up that backstretch. Now Colonel Rushleigh moves her in there. Halfway through the west turn on the 4th buoy, Maverick with Bill Stead at the wheel. This is the end of lap 7 coming up. 7th time around the course. Colonel Rush Slay is just approaching the deceleration buoy. And just coming out of the west turn area, down the runway for home, is the Maverick. 500 feet, 200, over the line. End of lap 7 in first place. Maverick starts lap number 8 in first place. And here comes Shanty off the top of the turn in the west area of Lake Chelan, the first annual Apple Cup. Thousands of people enjoying this tremendous struggle. 106 miles an hour, back down from 110 to 106. The slowest lap that our friend Bill Stead has had has been that of 106 miles an hour. Bill Stead is going into the east turn area, and Colonel Rush Slay and Shanty is just completing his 7th lap in second place. Here your relative position between the two boats. On the far side of the screen, just going up the backstretch on his 8th time around the course, the lead boat, Maverick, driven by Bill Stead. And just going into the east turn is your second place boat in this 2-boat race that started out a 3-boat affair, Colonel Rush Slay and Shanty. You notice the American flag on there, emblematic of the number 1 boat of the United States. Also notice that Colonel Rush Slay, like Ted Kluszewski of the Cincinnati Reds, always drives in short sleeve. He has those big muscles, friend. 3/4 of the way up the backstretch goes that booming boat Maverick. And just out of the east turn area comes the Shanty. So there's quite a bit of difference between them, almost the stretch of one straightaway into the west turn. And may we remind you that Kaiser Aluminum brings you this tremendous telecast from Lake Chelan on the first annual Apple Cup. A pleasure and a privilege to be associated with Kaiser Aluminum in this breathtaking struggle to determine the winner of the first annual Apple Cup, and of course also to determine some prize money in the final heat of $1,500 to the winner of that heat, plus $1,000 for second place and $500 to third. Here's your first place boat, 500 feet away from the end of lap number 8. Maverick in first place at the end of lap number 8, has 2 more to go. Just rounding into the west turn off the second buoy is Colonel Rush Slay in Shanty, 109 miles an hour for Maverick. Hey, that could be quite a wheeling deal between Maverick and Hawaii Kai. Colonel Rush Slay just rounding out of the west turn now on his 8th time around the course. Maverick leading from wire to wire. Started out with a 1-second differential in the 2 boats, has now built it up to over 27 seconds. That's the end of lap 8 for Shanty. Going up the backstretch now in his 9th time around the course. Here's your relative position once again on the near side of your screen. Colonel Rush Slay in second place, going into the east turn with Shanty. And coming up the backstretch, we have Maverick leading 1/4 of the way up the backstretch at his 9th time around. 32 seconds between the 2 boats, between first and second. Shanty running in second. Your east turn area with Colonel Rush Slay at the wheel of Shanty. And 3/4 of the way up the backstretch, we come to Maverick leading in the race as he goes into the west turn on his 9th time around the course. The water getting a little bit rough out there now, as you notice by the bow of the boat. Just rounding out of the east turn is Colonel Rush Slay. So the relative position between the 2 boats is just about the same, has been for the last couple of times. All right, the green flag is coming up, along with the white flag, for the 10th and final lap upcoming for the lead boat in this 2-boat race, Maverick. Bill Stead at the wheel, rounding out of the west turn. A nicely driven race by our good friend Bill Stead. And Colonel Rush Slay is just coming up the far side, approaching the west turn. 500 feet away, 200, over the line. Colonel Rush Slay moves into that west turn area as Maverick goes by on her 9th time around in first place. And Maverick is building on that time. Her average speed, 109 miles an hour. Her slowest speed has been 106, which was in the first lap, and again in the 7th, for the only 2 times that she's fallen below 108 or 109 miles an hour. Hey, that's really swinging in there, isn't it? Colonel Rush Slay in Shanty rounding out of the west turn on his 9th lap. And going into the east turn, you have Maverick just rounding out of the east turn now as Shanty completes her 9th time around the course. Shanty now getting ready to go up the backstretch for the 10th and final time. 36 seconds difference between the 2 boats. Maverick leading in number 1 position, Shanty in number 2. So you go from 1 second to 36 seconds in a total of 9 laps. And how do you do that? Well, Shanty has averaged 105 miles an hour through the 9th lap. Maverick 109. In fact, that's been pretty close to the average for both boats right there. Colonel Rush Slay just moving halfway through the east turn and up the backstretch, approaching the deceleration point of the west turn for the 10th and final time, getting ready for the checkered flag. We have Maverick, Bill Stead at the wheel. Shanty is just now drawing clear of the east turn. So here is your winner coming around that west turn area off the 5th and final buoy, swinging wide, Bill Stead in Maverick. So here's the first real big one for Maverick. Bill Stead at the wheel. Great race. 500 feet away. And over the line. Bill Stead. Winner of Heat 1B. And just rounding into the west turn area in second place. Just past the deceleration point comes Colonel Rush Slay in Shanty. And incidentally, the lovely lady after whom the boat is named, Mr. Wagner's wife Shanty, is in the pits watching her boat go. Hey, that crew of that Maverick will be happy. They sure worked over that boat last year. You couldn't believe the bad luck that boat had. On the barge, we'll give you a quick rundown on the figures and also the scoring. We've completed 2 sections of the first heat, and here's the situation scoring-wise. Your winner was Maverick. That gives her a total of 400 points. The second place boat was Shanty, driven by Colonel Rush Slay. That gives him a total of 300 points. Now on the total elapsed time for the winning boat Maverick, 16 minutes, 36 and 3/10 seconds. And the average speed was 108.434. Shanty, 17 minutes and 17 seconds total elapsed time. And her average speed was 104.046. Man, they are really whistling. Like Mr. Smith said on the camera, stomp on it, kid, and just turn left. The only thing was he had somebody turning left inside of him. A great 2-boat race out here, and incidentally, sort of looking at things to come, last evening these 2 boats went out here and put on just about an identical type of show, only they stayed a little bit closer together. Of course, they weren't really pumping it up and they weren't going quite that fast, but they really gave us a show, and it seemed to be a forerunner of things to come.
All right, we're finally with you at the pits, and here is Norm Evans, driver of Miss Bardall, which, like Miss Thriftway, had some tough luck here. What is the trouble, Norm?
Well, it seems like we weren't getting water out there. We might have had a prop that had a little bit too much lift in there, and it got a little warm on us, and we changed some other lines, and I'm sure we'll be out there for the 2A heat.
Putting in a new water pump?
No, they're changing some lines around so we get a little more water through there. It's pretty smooth water, and we stuck to it and didn't get up, I don't believe, quite fast enough out there.
The water's sticky today?
Yes,
explain
indeed.
that term for the uninitiated.
Well, it means you're just too smooth. You can't get up and maneuver on it. It's choppy. Your boat just naturally sticks and seems to, instead of lifting your bow, you just plow water for a ways. But it started to heat up, and there's no use of bringing another motor, so I decided to come in, and they're going to let us run in the 2A heat, so that'll be fine.
Are you definitely in 2A?
The way I understand, yes, we'll have it ready.
Well, we have a possibility of only 6 boats, which would cut us down to a total of 4 heats today if they got down to 6. But if Thriftway and Bardall are both in still, then we have 3 more heats, right?
Well, they're pretty, you have to run 3 or 5 heats.
3 or 5?
Yeah, then 6 boats per heat is the most. So the way it looks, it'll be just 6 heats today.
5 heats, rather.
Well, 5, yeah, if they all get going. Yes, we'll have to go to 5. If not, it'll be 3 heats.
Well, for the benefit of those who are not familiar with, Miss Bardall had a lot of tough luck here qualifying. Burned out 1 motor, got your 2nd motor from Miss Seattle, wasn't
Yes, Miss Seattle was good enough to sell us a motor to get in the race here.
Uh-huh. You're not going to demand your money back now.
No, I didn't want to burn the motor up, so we're going to change the water lines on it and try it again.
Mighty fine, Norm. Thank you, and we wish you and Norm Christensen, the owner of Bardall, and all the Bardall people, all the luck in the world over there in getting back in again once more. And incidentally, Norm here is the only real hometown boy in this race today. He's a Chelan resident with business here in Chelan. He's been driving limited hydroplanes here for a long time, haven't you?
Yes, in fact, I got my 266 going out in just a little bit, and I might drive it, or I might have one of my friends drive it.
I mean, in between heats, you might drive a limited?
Yeah, I got my 266 waiting over there now for me to go out, and if I can't find somebody, maybe I'll have to drive it, but...
Okay, Norm Evans. Thank you very much, sir. It's nice to talk to you, and best of luck to you. We hope that you are in Heat 2A.
Thank you.
Now back to Bill O'Meara at the official stand.
Seems to be in a state of mandatory inactivity. We understand that Harry Woods, the chief referee, is going down to the pits. There'll be a redraw, of course, for Heat 2A and 2B. In the meanwhile, you'll have the 266s and the 225s running out here, and a typical afternoon show that we can come to expect and know as far as the boats are concerned in the unlimited hydroplane field. You know, earlier this year, in fact, one of the amended rules, which came in for a great deal of attention under the Gold Cup section of rules, which is what this race is run under, was the new rule that you could change an engine between heats. And this is being done in the Thriftway.
It's the first factual opportunity that we have had to see whether or not a crew can change an engine and still get it running and be ready in time for the draw of the heat. Now, the basic problem that you face here, of course, is that if Thriftway is again drawn for Heat 2A, why, she loses about 45 minutes in time, the running of that heat. In other words, if she were drawn for Heat 2B, she'd have an extra 45 minutes to work. So those boys are strictly on a time basis. They have to be able to get the thing squared away. And so, you remember what I said when we opened up the show a couple of hours ago, that the battle sometimes, in fact more often than not, is won right there by those men that you are now watching. The difference between failure and success. Now, let me clarify this. Under Gold Cup rules, a boat must complete a race in order to be eligible for, in this instance, the Apple Cup. This is the same way the Gold Cup rules are. Now, the only thing that's been added to this race as an added inducement is a money prize. So actually you have two races within one race. You have boats striving to enter the last heat so that they can be eligible to run for the money, which consists of $1,500 first prize, $1,000 second prize, and $500 third. A boat does not have to complete 90 miles or two previous heats to that in order to be in that. All she has to do is be one of the 6 high-pointed boats. Well, now there are only 7 boats in the field, so factually what you're trying to do is to eliminate one of them point-wise. But only those boats which have completed 90 miles will be eligible for the Apple Cup. However, the physical placement of the boats in the final heat will determine who gets the money. So there are actually 2 races here that you have to consider.
I don't know if you've had these colors described to you completely. Thriftway is a combination of brown, orange, and yellow. And as you can see by her striping, it's a very beautiful boat to behold. The crew is also, as you can see, feverishly working to remount that big Allison engine. So as Willard Rhodes explained to us, the thing we should keep in mind all afternoon, that the race is not over yet. And here is the grandfather. You don't mind being called grandfather?
Bill Narrows.
The grandfather of all three-point hydroplanes, and actually the man who has made unlimited hydroplane racing what it is, but with the first real advance since Gar Wood's days. Ted, the camera is right up there on the Shell property and waving at you so you can see. What we asked Willard, how do you think that Miss Thriftway will do this afternoon, Ted?
Well, in the event that everything fits on this engine the way it's supposed to fit and we get back in it, this engine we're putting in doesn't have quite the power of the other one. The other one was a real goer. In fact, he came down there just 2/3 throttle and was staying up with the pack in good shape. But this one, he'll have to floorboard it all the way, this engine that we're putting in. So he has a lesser chance with this engine than with the original one that blew up.
Ted, you had the opportunity here just a short while ago of watching one of your children, Maverick, who originally was named Rebel Saw, perform very beautifully with Bill Stead at the helm in the corners and, of course, down the funnel, too. Originally, didn't you design her for a straightaway boat, Ted?
Yes, but I redesigned it since then for competition for them.
Oh,
It was my own boat, and I sold it to Mr. Wagner about a year ago.
3 of the 4 are out here. Colonel Rush Schley going up to his favorite spot in Shanty. 35 seconds left. They usually turn and go with about 20 seconds to go. Everybody's shaping around in there now. And the Bardol is milling around and going very slowly indeed. She looks like she's kited down pretty badly. They may pull up a yellow flag. Now he's turned, and is he going to go? Here we come down the line. Wahoo is on the inside, coming down the middle of the course. And Miss Seattle has come out on the course. She just got out here, and we felt our first drop of rain. We're coming down to the line. It's going to be close, close, close. Over the line. We'll have to check and see if it's a false start. Here comes the Cow. Boy, look at you fly. In first place was Wahoo, but we'll have to check. And the Miss Bardol is not even in there. She's up in the west end of the course, and Miss Seattle hasn't even come around to start yet. Chuck Hickling went back to the pits and came back out. So they're pretty well spread around out there. We're waiting to see what's going to happen. The green flag is still up for Miss Seattle has cut across the course. She's coming up on the outside now. Meanwhile, let's take a look at that east turn and see what's happening. Wahoo is out in front, followed by Colonel Rush Slay in second place. And here comes the Bardol. She's coming down across the line to get started. Bardol gets started. The Miss Seattle hasn't started as yet. Hickling is going all the way around. And the Wahoo is out in front, and Colonel Rush Slay is hot after him. Miss Seattle with Chuck Hickling at the wheel. Coming out of the west turn, and Wahoo is in first place going into the top of the west turn, followed by Colonel Rush Slay and Shanty 1. And Bardol is milling around down in the east turn and is out of the line and evidently is dead in the water. Here comes Miss Seattle to get started. The start was okay. We just had the word. Miss Wahoo is in first place at the end of lap 1. Here comes Shanty in second place. As Wahoo goes to the east turn. And Miss Seattle is 101 miles an hour for Wahoo. Miss Seattle is just going halfway through her first lap. So there could be a lapping here immediately. Wahoo in first place and Shanty in second. And the time differential between the two, about 15 seconds. I beg your pardon, 5 seconds. Misread Phil's figure. So we're going to have a lapping here very shortly. That boat that is out in front on your screen is the Miss Seattle with Chuck Hickling, and he's turning off the course. And boom, he's out of there. He's turned off the course. And now you have a two-boat race as you have Wahoo in first place and Colonel Rush Slay in second. Wahoo in first place halfway through the backstretch of the second lap. Wahoo with Myra Slovak at the wheel got off to an excellent start. Shanty with Colonel Rush Slay is in second place, 5 seconds, maybe 8 seconds behind now. At the three-quarter point of his lap number 2. Myra Slovak. And here is Bardol with Norm Evans. Out of the race. Here's your first place boat at the top of the west turn. So a two-boat race. And Colonel Rush Slay comes hot after Wahoo, trying to cut the corner down tight. Wahoo at the 1,000-foot mark. And Colonel Rush Slay is having trouble in Shanty. 500 feet away. Over the line. End of lap 2. And your second place boat cutting across the wake. Shanty in second place. Shanty is now 8 seconds behind, we told you. Now going into the east turn. Your pit camera that gives you a look at Miss Wahoo slamming into the east turn. 101 miles an hour for Wahoo on her second lap. Now into that east turn and halfway through it with Colonel Rush Slay picking up a little ground as he begins to move the Shanty. And the relative position of the two boats as Shanty in second place is just going through the bottom part of the east turn, and we have the Wahoo drawing out now, rounding the fifth and final buoy on the turn and headed up the backstretch. Now let's watch the two boats as they go up the backstretch. Here's Wahoo. She's quarter of the way up the backstretch, and Colonel Rush Slay comes out after her, but he's bouncing and banging her. The boat seems flakier this year than it did last. Doesn't seem to have the balanced tendencies that it had heretofore. Three-quarters of the way up the backstretch, the first place boat, Wahoo, and Colonel Rush Slay coming hot after him now, picking up a little ground. We're in the third lap of Heat 2A. Heat 2B will have Thriftway, Maverick, and Hawaii Kai in it. If Bardol failed to get started, they were going to call all the boats back and put them all in one heat. At the top of the turn, Colonel Rush Slay has picked up considerable ground on Wahoo. He's driving harder. He's coming after him. So here's Myra Slovak in his second year of unlimited hydroplane racing. And brother, that kid is hot after him now. He's picked up a little time, I'm quite sure. Off the runway now at the 1,000-foot mark. At the end of lap 3, Wahoo in first place. Myra Slovak, the driver. Colonel Rush Slay out of the corner and coming down the stretch. End of lap 3 for Shanty in second place. 7 seconds behind. He picked up a second. Into the east turn goes Wahoo. Driven beautifully by Myra Slovak. Time, 102 miles an hour for both boats. 102 miles an hour. Halfway through the east turn, Slovak out in front in Miss Wahoo. And the lovely Mrs. Boeing Jr. watching this boat, probably pretty thrilled by it. Myra driving a very heady race. Colonel Rush Slay coming after him, having a tough time coming out of that turn. That boat is bumping and pitching and rocking pretty hard. All right, Myra Slovak pours the coal to her. He thinks that the Colonel's getting a little too close. 7 seconds is too close for comfort. In first place, another two-boat race. And once again, Colonel Rush Slay is running second. He's running second this time to Wahoo, who is three-quarters of the way through the backstretch on her fourth lap. Your first place boat approaching the deceleration point of the west turn. And hot after him. Boy, this kid Slay has really picked up on him. Slay is coming on him real hard. But he's having trouble going through those turns in the wake that Myra's leaving. The Wahoo swinging wide now. He's losing time on this turn. He's coming too wide. And the Colonel's coming down hot inside. The Colonel trying to stay tight, trying to pick up time in those corners. All right, here's Wahoo at the 1,000-foot mark of her fourth lap. 500 feet. Over the line. Wahoo with a perfect start. She was right on the money. Real close. In second place, we have Shanty, the number one boat last year in the United States. 8 seconds behind. Shanty running in second place as the east turn comes up for Miss Wahoo. 104 miles an hour for Wahoo and 103 miles an hour plus for Shanty. Both boats doing better than 104 and 103 miles an hour respectively. In that east turn, halfway through in this fifth lap, a two-boat race, as you had four boats starting. Seattle didn't even get out there and finish the first lap. Bardol didn't start at all. Wahoo running in first place with her nose on the line at the start. A beautiful start. She was right on the money. Out of that east turn and up the backstretch goes the Wahoo. She's running great. And the Colonel is having trouble back in the ruck. He can't get that rooster tail kicked up. Now we go. And Myra is finding that backstretch to his liking. He's moving the boat real nicely at the three-quarter mark. A very distinctive paint design. Incidentally, Myra painted that himself. He's the painter of the boat. When any painting has to be done, he does it. That's all that they'll let him touch on the boat, except to drive it. The kid's doing real good. The west turn area, and here's Colonel Rush Slay coming up, trying to get in on this boy as the race approaches the halfway mark for this Heat 2A. Wahoo in first place, and Shanty in second. 8 seconds between the two boats as we completed the fourth lap. It started out 5 seconds, 5, 8, 7, and now 8 again. The Colonel was only able to pick up a second in that third lap. At the 1,000-foot mark comes the number one boat at the end of lap number 5. Wahoo with Myra Slovak at the wheel, 500 feet away from the finish. Over the line on lap number 6 and out in front. Here's Colonel Rush Slay bouncing across that wake. Over the line on lap number 5 for him. In second place, he is now 9 seconds behind. And Myra Slovak doesn't let up on him. Approaches the deceleration point of the east turn. 105 miles an hour for Wahoo, 105 miles an hour for Shanty. Just about the same. In fact, Wahoo is just a little stronger, about 0.5 of a second faster. 0.5 of a mile faster. All right, here we go through that east turn. At the three-quarter point of that east turn, Colonel Rush Slay is at the bottom part of the turn. There's the relative difference in the two boats. As up that backstretch goes Myra Slovak. And he's picking up a little time, I think, on this time around, as the Colonel once again has trouble on that fourth and fifth buoy of the east turn. His boat's sliding out on him. He's losing a little bit. Your first place boat is halfway up the backstretch of her sixth lap. Wahoo with Myra Slovak at the wheel, the Bill Boeing Jr. owned boat. And believe it or not, this boat had a tough time qualifying. She went 97 miles an hour around there, and Myra really had to stab it to her. Colonel Rush Slay coming up now, real strong. Content to get that second place, I think, and not try to burn out his engine. He wants to get in there for that final heat. These two boats are both in contention for the Apple Cup. Your second place boat just going into the west turn on the first buoy, the second buoy, now the third. And out of that west turn comes your first place boat, Myra Slovak and Wahoo. On the fourth buoy is the second place boat. 1,000 feet away from the finish of lap number 6, Wahoo, 500 and over the line. End of lap 6 in first place, Wahoo, on the wire from start to finish. In second place, here comes Shanty. End of lap 6 for Shanty in second place. As Myra Slovak hits into the deceleration point of the east turn. 10 seconds behind for Shanty. She's losing a second at a time on each round. 5, 8, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's the way the 6 laps have gone, point differential-wise. 105 miles an hour and 106 miles an hour for Wahoo. 105 for Shanty, 106 for Wahoo. Out of the east turn goes your number 1 boat in this Heat 2A. Heat 2B will bring up Thriftway, Maverick, and Hawaii Kai. Hey, that ought to be a smoking good battle. Bill Muncie will have to go for broke on that one to get in the money. For that money heat, he's not eligible for the Apple Cup, but he sure shoot is eligible for that money. Halfway up the backstretch comes the Wahoo. Now he's at the three-quarter point. And the second place boat is hot on him just about a quarter of the way up the backstretch as the Colonel decides to come on him a little bit. But it's a rough go he has on his hands because Wahoo is a hot boat at this moment at the deceleration point, and the west turn comes up to view. As we hit buoy number 1, buoy number 2. It's a 5-buoy turn, plenty of room up there. Past the deceleration point for the second place boat. On the 4th buoy goes the first place boat, Wahoo, swinging fairly wide. And Colonel Rush Slay stays inside, trying to pick up ground in those turns as Myra invites him to come on at him. And our first place boat almost lost himself out there as Myra cut that turn a little too sharp and almost tipped over. 500 feet away from the finish of his lap. Over the line in first place goes your number 1 boat in this heat, Wahoo. Shanty comes down off the 1,000-foot mark to complete lap number 7 in second place. Let's see how many seconds between the two boats. A total of 9.5 seconds between the two as we move to the east turn now. Past the deceleration point goes the Wahoo. Myra Slovak at the wheel. 105 miles an hour for the leading boat, Wahoo. 106 miles an hour for Shanty, but she's still losing time. You see, Colonel drives such a wide course through those turns that he loses a little bit of time there. Here's your relative position between the two boats, the two-boat race, first and second. First place, Wahoo. Second place is Colonel Rush Slay and Shanty. Up the backstretch, off the 5th buoy now, out of the east turn goes the Wahoo. Bill Boeing Jr., Mrs. Boeing Jr., the boat after whom it was named after Mrs. Boeing's hometown of Wahoo, Nebraska. A boat that competed but twice in unlimited hydroplane yesterday. We're in the 8th lap. Wahoo running in number 1 position, approaching the west turn. And Colonel Rush Slay comes on to the deceleration point. And the Colonel has picked up a little ground, I believe. Not much, but a little. Myra Slovak diving for a win, coming out of the west turn, off the 4th buoy. Again swinging very wide, and the Colonel's coming on at him real great. The Colonel's closing the gap. And once again, the Colonel loses the time they made coming up on that tight inside corner as he slides too wide. And here comes Myra Slovak at the 1,000-foot mark. On the 8th lap, 500 feet away from the finish, lap number 8. Over the line goes Myra Slovak in first place. And here in second place is Colonel Rush Slay going to the outside. Colonel Rush Slay going out after the lead boat now as we begin lap number 9. He's 8 seconds apart. The Colonel is driving the outside corner. He's had enough of trying to drive inside and save it in the corners. As Al Smith, our 60-inch lens cameraman, says, stomp on a boy, turn left. Moving halfway through the east turn goes Wahoo, and the Colonel is definitely picking up on Wahoo. Not much. He may have run on a track here. He's in the 9th lap. Here's your relative difference between first and second. As you can see, the boats are closer as the Colonel is really coming out after Wahoo now. He's out of there and up that back stretch like a scarlet cat. Here comes Wahoo, and the Colonel tries to get underway and seems to lose acceleration a little bit. Halfway up that backstretch, Wahoo riding in first place, and the Colonel comes after him. There's less than 2 buoy distances between the two boats. Now moving in the deceleration point of the west turn. First and second, Wahoo and Shanty, 1 and 2 in a 2-boat race. As we have the Colonel coming in now real hard on that west turn area, trying to get in on him, closing up the time. We're in the 9th lap, 1 more to go. As the red and the green and white flag go up for the beginning of the 10th and final lap for both of these boats, and brother, they aren't too far apart. Here comes Myra Slovak. He hasn't reached the 1,000-foot mark, and the Colonel gets himself straightened out, and here's the run down the stretch. At the 500-foot mark, Myra Slovak slowing up considerably. He's having a little trouble. Now he's starting his 10th and final lap, and he's having trouble. Here comes the Colonel after him. Myra Slovak having a little trouble. And there goes the Colonel hot after him. on the outside corner. There's only 7 seconds between these two boats as they start their 10th and final lap. The Colonel's coming on the outside, and I believe that Wahoo is having trouble on the inside. Her Rooster Tail isn't quite ready. Now she's up there steady and strong as we go to the east turn. A tremendous two-boat battle in the two-boat field. Here in Heat 2A, the Colonel going on the outside, and he may make it this time around as Wahoo is having trouble. The Colonel is on the outside, and Wahoo's on the inside. A great two-boat race. Less than 7 seconds between these two boats as they go through the east turn. A tremendous boat race here in Heat 2A. Up on the inside corner now. Let's see what's going to happen. Less than half the lap left. We're in the 10th and final lap. Wahoo leading from wire to wire. And now we come real hard as the Colonel comes up on the inside corner. Let's see if Wahoo can hold him off. Wahoo in first place. The Colonel in second place. 3/4 of the way through the backstretch. The Colonel is coming on real strong for him. But Wahoo once again shows that tremendous ability up the backstretch. 107 miles an hour for Shanty in that ninth lap and 106 for Wahoo. Here comes the Colonel. He's coming on him real hard. There isn't going to be much difference between these two boats. But I think the Colonel made his bid too late from that outside corner. All right, here we go. The Colonel is driving hard on him. It's going to be hard. He's swinging too wide. The Colonel's staying on the inside corner. He may take him here. Watch this run down home. They'll be dead even. Up, the Colonel lost it. He went outside. Here we come, down the stretch. It's going to be a tremendous battle. Watch it. Wahoo is number one. And here comes Myra Slovak. Winner of the heat. Second place, Shanty. A tremendous comeback battle by the Shanty. As Shanty came all the way back from being 10 seconds down, he was 10 seconds behind Wahoo at the end of the 6th lap. He narrowed the margin down to a difference of just 4 seconds. When the two boats went over the line, 1-2, Wahoo first and Shanty second, there was but 4 seconds differential between the two. Our hats are off to two great performers, a real stop-and-go outfit, and if we were allowed to second guess, we'd say that if Colonel Rush Schley had gone to the outside, he might have picked a little sooner. He might have picked up Myra Slovak a little sooner because he seemed to drive a little better when he went to the outside, even though he had to go a greater distance. A tremendous race between two very talented, very likable gentlemen. Wahoo driven by Myra Slovak and Shanty in second place. Now for Wahoo, she had a second place, and she now gets 400, so she has a total of 700 points, and Shanty has a total of 600 on 2 second-place finishes. A real boat battle. That should give you folks in Spokane and in Portland a pretty good idea of what two boys can really do out there when they really stop on it. Two different styles of driving. Myra staying very steadily to the inside corner, and the Colonel liking to drive that middle part of the course on the outside. I can't think of any better statement to use than the one that Al Smith, their camera, uses. Stomp on it, Colonel, and turn left at the right time. That's the way he likes to drive. Here are the two boats coming up the backstretch, neck and neck, and I bet they're really grinning at one another. A real great race between the two boys. And the people here give them a real great hand. A real great, tremendous two-boat battle. You don't see that happen too often. But, brother, they really put on a show for you out here this afternoon. And we have another heat coming up, Heat 2B, which should be just as exciting if all the boats stay in there. Thriftway, Maverick, and Hawaii Kai.
We'll see if we can say a word to him. Myra! Good boy. How about that start? But what do you think you did?
Well, let's go. Look at the guy. Shake hands. Okay?
Okay, Myra.
I was afraid I jumped the gun. No, I was just right under the board then. My God, the God was with me.
You know what happened on that? The gun delayed is going on, so you were okay.
That was let it out. I let it out. Boy, didn't he push me? That was the first days I've been driving, really. And thanks to Dave Jones, Jack Rigas, Monty, Bernard Lee, and the other drivers.
Myra's a pretty excited boy at this moment. Thank you. That's a good place to get away from. But Miss Wahoo has really come through again.
Good to you, boys. Got 700 points, tremendous race. Good to you.
Myra, did Russ give you a bad time for a few minutes?
He sure did, he son of a gun. He sure did. Oh, my God, it was a race.
You did a beautiful race, too.
That she did it.
Yeah, she performed beautifully all the time. And let's see, that should give you 700 points, shouldn't it, Myra, now?
Yeah, I had a 300 on first and 400, I guess, so I don't know.
I would think this would be 700 points.
Yeah.
For a minute there, when Russ was starting to close the gap,
What happened? I thought I jumped the gun and he didn't, so I didn't want to push the boat farther, and so I take it easy, and on my right side I saw a big rooster there. Wow, didn't I open it? Well, he was getting nice to me. Oh, I bet you 10 more laps, and he got me. I mean 10, maybe a couple.
were you thinking that perhaps you might should take an extra lap, Myra?
Well, I got the green and white. I thought it's for me. I jumped the gun and I saw I must go once more around, and however I didn't.
How did you find the water in this heat? Was it a little bit tricky?
I don't know. She was jumping pretty nice, up and down.
We could see daylight underneath you most all the
Yeah,
time.
I think it was the fast race what I've been driving, really.
Myra, I think that probably so far today, and we've got another heat to go, but so far this has been your happiest day in hydroplane
It sure is,
racing.
at least this moment. That's really a good feeling, my golly. That's not my feeling. The boys, they work on the boat, and Mr. Boeing and everybody around. That's a good feeling for everyone. Even if we don't know who's going to win, we got a good feeling right now.
That's a wonderful feeling to have, too. Was the boat performing just the way you wanted to, or
I
wanted
don't
to
think
do?
it can be better.
It sure sounded sweet. And Myra, we'll let you go talk to your crew.
Fine,
You
Rob,
know
the
that's
boys say
important.
everything okay.
Don't
Hello,
fall in
Bill
the water.
O'Mara.
Yeah, Bill O'Mara from Myra Slovak. A wonderful fella. And once again, Tom, you did awfully well. Let's go over here and see if we can find out from Al Benson what happened to Miss Seattle. If you can stick with us for a little while as they throw the line to him. And as we increase the power. Weldy, how many horse are you?
1.5.
1.5 horsepower Weldy. We have a new name for you from now on. Let's not get caught in there as she swings around. Because we're just not big enough to tangle with this craft. We'll find out what happened to Miss Seattle. Al? Here we go. Let's swing in now, Al. We can come a little bit closer. On the other side, I think. Al, what happened? Chuck, what happened to you out there?
Came to the side.
Connecting rod? I kept calling you Al. I meant Chuck. Did she do quite a bit of damage?
Yes, the whole engine's worse.
Then this engine is definitely out of the race today, right?
That's right.
Okay, thank you a lot, Chuck Hickling. Well, that is another one which is not going to be performing this afternoon, and that's Miss Seattle. It's a darn shame when everybody works so hard on these boats, and then to have... Yeah, family TV station is right. Everybody is getting kind of a charge of us out in this boat. Well, are you taking Dramamine?
Yeah. How are we on the hour?
Well, we're doing all right. We're getting burned to a crisp. Let's go over here and talk to Russ Schley and see what kind of shape he's in. They've pulled Shanty up. Pretty good position, actually, with 2 seconds. And she's performed consistently, as Myra Slovak told us just a little while ago that he thought for a moment that Russ had caught him. Explain what that difference is and what the combination is.
I'd rather have Ted Jones, who can do this probably a lot better than I explain it,
All right.
but he builds a boat to run with a certain pitch propeller and a certain lift. And any time that you change that combination, then you get a different handling boat. But Ted can probably do a lot better job of explaining it than I can.
But in terms of the way it operated, Russ, it was difficult to handle, was she?
Yeah, it was extremely difficult to handle.
You actually gave us a little thrill when you were coming down here because you were skipping a lot. And did it actually, and I know you're a straight shooting guy, did it scare you a little bit, Russ?
Well, I felt like I was not scared, no, but I knew that we were running close to the ragged edge.
So close to it, yeah. Myra ran a very nice race.
Beautiful,
Think?
beautiful. Too good.
For a minute there, we sure thought that you were going to get him in this straightaway, and he said that he looked around and saw that rooster tail of yours, and he said he got the thrill of a lifetime.
Well, I assure you, I saw a lot of his rooster tail that time, too.
Well, Russ, we sure hope that the boat gets operating the way you want it to for the third heat. You've got 2 seconds now, so you're definitely a competitor. we'll be watching you go this time.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Russ,
You bet.
very much. Colonel Russ Schway, United States Air Force, and I think I can say unequivocally, one of the most wonderful gentlemen that it's been our pleasure ever to meet or to know. You've noticed, I think, a couple of times when I've talked to drivers here this afternoon and said, well, you were master of that corner, and they say, no, I goofed it. And I say, well, you looked very well when you came down to finish. No, I didn't do a very good job of it. Actually, these fellas aren't contradicting us. It's just that you find in this sport, and somehow it's still strange to me, but that you find among the hydroplane owners and drivers and mechanics more modesty and humility than you find in practically any other sport. They're a grand bunch of people, and that's why we like it so very much.
On the near side, cutting over toward you on your screen, is the Hawaii Kai. Muncie is the furthest one up, the farthest to your left on the screen. And the one on the right-hand side of the screen way over is Maverick. All right, there's the 1 minute gun. As they've turned, Muncie is in the middle. Hawaii Kai on the outside, and Maverick is in the middle. Now Muncie makes one quick turn around, and the Hawaii Kai is just idling down the outside of the course. This is identically the way they did it before. Muncie is in the middle. Maverick is on the inside corner back a little bit, and on the outside is Hawaii Kai as they come slowly down the line. Muncie pushing it a little bit harder. Maverick is beginning to come in a little bit harder, and here they come down to the course itself. They're well outside of the course. Muncie is shaping over now in front of Maverick. Maverick is trailing the field, but he's beginning to move real hard. His rooster tail is higher than anybody, and Muncie is having trouble getting his boat up in case he wants to go. We're coming down to the line now. Muncie is beginning to level out his, and still the Hawaii Kai hasn't come up high yet, but both the other boats are up there dead even. Here comes Muncie in the middle. Hawaii Kai is now beginning to move on the outside corner, and Maverick is on the inside corner, and there goes Maverick on the inside corner. Muncie's going to be last in the middle. Hawaii Kai will get off first on the outside. And there goes Slipway on the inside. And Maverick. Hawaii Kai is first. Slipway is second. And Maverick is third as they go into the east turn. Now let's see who will be first out down there. A beautiful start for the Hawaii Kai and Bill Muncie in the Slipway. Who comes out first? It's Kai who comes out first on the outside corner. Can't see Muncie. There he is. He's in second place. And in third place is Maverick. It's Hawaii Kai out in front, and Muncie comes hard after him. Just rounding off the buoy now. Off the turn and up the backstretch. And Maverick is hard after the Slipway. Now the Slipway takes off, and there's a terrific battle on for second and third. Here's your first place boat, halfway up the backstretch. It's Hawaii Kai, and Bill Muncie is going hard after Regis, who is driving on the outside. And in third place is Maverick. Muncie driving the inside lane now, coming up hard on Regis on the outside edge. In first place is Hawaii Kai. Second place as they go into the west turn for the first time is Miss Slipway, driven by Bill Muncie. In third place is Maverick, driven by Bill Stead. They're bunched. Maverick comes up hard on Slipway. Slipway finding the rough going out there, pitching and butting. And it's Regis, hard with that slow motion 5 engine in her. And Muncie is turning real hard in the inside corner, picking up ground. A beautiful effort as Regis cuts over and tries to get to the inside corner. Muncie on the inside corner. And is picking up ground on those turns. He's real good at it. And the wind begins to blow real hard. At the end of lap 1, your lead boat is Hawaii Kai. In second place is Miss Slipway. In third place is Maverick. 3 seconds from first place is Slipway in second. And at 8 seconds away from second place is Maverick in third. Hawaii Kai first. Slipway is second. Maverick is third as we go to the east turn. And this is the way they stay. Hawaii Kai, Jack Regis at the wheel. And the slow motion 4 crew standing on the sidelines, wondering if they have with them another clean sweep winner. Hawaii Kai with 107 miles an hour for the first time around the course. We're in lap number 2 as Bill Muncie. He could drive just contentedly to get his points, but no, he's coming out after Regis. Such is the tremendous pride of these drivers. You're seeing a tremendous 3-boat race in here, ladies and gentlemen. In first place, a quarter of the way up the backstretch, and lap number 2 is Hawaii Kai. And now we have Maverick making a move on Miss Slipway in second place. Miss Slipway is in second place now, coming up that backstretch, but she can't match that tremendous getaway speed of Hawaii Kai on the straight runs. Maverick is falling back a little bit. Here's your second place boat. less than 3 seconds away and coming hard on Regis. But I think that Regis will pay attention to his turn this time, knowing what Bill Muncy can do to him in those corners if he wags up just a little bit. If he slips and goes a little bit wide, Muncy doesn't decelerate till he gets to the first buoy. Then he chops around in there. This boy really has these turns down to a cold science. And here comes Jack Regis doing a good job on those corners in lap number 2. And Maverick is coming up on the inside, trying real hard, and is taking over second place from Thriftway. Here's a terrific battle for second place as Hawaii Kai comes down to the 1,000-foot mark, 500 feet away. Here's your great battle for second. You just saw it at the end of lap 2. Hawaii Kai leads. Here's a battle for second. Muncy is second, less than a second ahead of Maverick. In third place, Hawaii Kai going into the east turn on lap number 3, moving in on the first buoy, and Muncy comes hot after him. Muncy driving hard now at the end of the second lap. Hawaii Kai in first place, Thriftway in second place, 7 seconds behind. Maverick in third place, 7.5 seconds behind Thriftway in second. Less than a half-second difference between the two boats as Muncy goes out after Hawaii Kai, but has lost distance to the boat, I think. Now he's coming out of the turn as the lead boat goes up the backstretch, a quarter of the way up the backstretch. Hawaii Kai in first place. Muncy with Maverick chasing him hot on his tail, less than a second away as both those boats battle it out for second and third. Hawaii Kai now 3/4 of the way up the backstretch, going like a living bomb out there. Here's your race for second and third. In second place is Thriftway, Muncy's boat. And we had a backfire on the part of Hawaii Kai. She's dead in the water at the deceleration point. And here comes Bill Muncy as Hawaii Kai goes dead in the water at the west turn at the deceleration point. And Muncy goes past him, now takes over first place. Hawaii Kai with a backfire coming out of the exhaust. We'll see if he's able to put it out. Maybe we can get a quick camera over there. All right, Muncy still driving, coming out.
Eyes on fire.
And the Kai with a sustained backfire. Just take it easy. See if Regis can get it out. The Kai still on fire. Muncy is now completing his third lap. He's in first place, and in second place is Maverick. And the fire is out. It was a sustained backfire, and everything is all right because Regis hasn't gotten out of the boat or indicated one way or the other. So everything's all right. They can pick him up. Here's a quick look at Hawaii Kai leading at the end of 2 laps, 2 3/4 laps. Now Thriftway is in first place, moving through the east turn on her 4th lap. Hawaii Kai with a loud pop. She was out of there, and she may be out of the race entirely. Jack was pushing her pretty hard. Hey! And the kid's going to get her started. Jack Regis, moving great out there, gets her started again. A great effort. A great competitive effort by Jack Regis. Now let's see, can he do it? No, she's gone dead again. Usually after a backfire like that, it's pretty tough to get her started. All right, Muncy in Thriftway, 3/4 of the way up the backstretch. In second place is Maverick. And once again, Hawaii Kai gets started. Needling her way through. She'll complete lap number 3 here, the tough way. 6 seconds difference between Thriftway in first place and Maverick in second as they completed the 3rd lap. Hawaii Kai now slips to 3rd. And Jack Regis gets her going. Great work, Jack. And the Thriftway comes hot after the Hawaii Kai out of that north turn. And here comes the Hawaii Kai, completing her 3rd lap. Thriftway coming down across the finish line of her 4th lap in first place. And Hawaii Kai just starts her 4th lap. There could be a lapping here if Bill really goes hot after Hawaii Kai. Just out of the west turn goes your second place boat, Maverick, driven by Bill Stead. Muncy is going on after Hawaii Kai. 17 seconds difference between Thriftway and Maverick in first and second. And Hawaii Kai is now just almost a lap behind. There could be a lapping out there up that backstretch. Yes, the Kai went off the course to the right. Now she hasn't turned off in the infield yet, but she is turning around and coming back. So here she comes back by the pits. And meanwhile, Thriftway is going halfway up the backstretch on lap number 5. This is Heat 2B, and Maverick is just coming out of the east turn. Hawaii Kai still underway now, coming back to the pit area as Thriftway goes into the west turn on her 5th lap. Bill Muncy driving hard at Regis, forcing him all the time, and particularly through those corners. And the wind begins to blow a little bit harder as both boats slow down considerably, except that Muncy is driving real hard. Now he comes out of that west turn. He's approaching the 1,000-foot mark to the finish line of his 5th lap, and Maverick is driving very easily in 2nd place. Hawaii Kai is out of there, and Muncy has completed lap number 5. Hawaii Kai for her 2 laps averaged 107 and 104 miles an hour. Thriftway in 1st place in the 5th lap, 106 miles an hour, and 109 for her 4th place. Your 2nd place boat coming out of the west turn, that's Maverick. Bill Stead at the wheel. He's driving to stay because he'll be eligible for that Apple Cup. And now Hawaii Kai, by going back to the pits, is not eligible for the Apple Cup. So now we're down to 3 boats if things stay as they are. But of course, 6 top-pointed boats will be in there eligible for the money prize, $1,500, $1,000, and $500, and the personal prize that goes with it. Thriftway up the backstretch, and Maverick going into the east turn. They're in their 6th lap, running 1-2. It's a 2-boat race once again. Terrific toll on these boats. It's real early in the season for them. 3/4 of the way up the backstretch, under threatening skies. Bill Muncy has backed off considerably. And now Maverick just rolls out of the east turn, and these 2 boats are separated end to end. One just coming out of the east, one going into the west turn, and the wind begins to freshen up somewhat. And we could blow up a pretty good storm out here before we end this Heat 2B 4 laps from now. We're in the 6th lap, running 1-2, Thriftway and Maverick. Maverick running 3rd at the start. Now both boats have moved up 1 position. Muncy was in a terrific duel with Hawaii Kai, and now Muncy is slowing down considerably. He's really coasting along in there. 1st place boat is Miss Thriftway, and I don't know, but what he might be having a little bit of trouble. He wouldn't slow down that much, I don't think. He's really creeping and crawling around in there. It looks to me like he's going to have a little trouble. Bill Muncy has completed lap number 6 in 1st place, and Maverick is coming out after him, and Thriftway drove 99 miles an hour in the 6th lap, and is obviously hurting, evidently, because Muncy looked like he was a little bit worried as he came past us. We're now going into 7th lap. He has 3 more to go after this, so we have a long way to go. Maverick is coming out of the west turn on the straightaway to finish her 6th lap in 2nd place. There's 32-second difference at the end of the 5th lap between the 2 boats. Now there's 33 between 1st and 2nd, as Muncy figures that 33 seconds for Maverick to pick up is pretty rough, so he's just really moving that boat around, and they're pretty careful. Your relative position between the 1st and 2nd boat has the 1st boat going into the east turn, and Muncy is way down in the water. He's having a tough go. He may not be able to make it around. In fact, I don't think Muncy's going to last. The Miss Thriftway is in trouble. She's down, and now it's going to be a 1-boat race as of right now. A 1-boat race as Maverick takes over in 1st place out of the east turn as a bolt of lightning hits over the hills to our right. Maverick takes over, and Miss Thriftway goes dead in the water out of the east turn. Here is Maverick all by herself, ready to complete lap number 7. As halfway through lap number 7, Thriftway went dead out of that east turn, and that will be it for her, unless she can get started. But Bill was hurting when he came around the turn here on the previous lap. And the dead boat for you is Miss Thriftway. And Maverick continues on her way, and unless she conks out, she'll pick herself up an easy 400 points. Maverick coming off the top of the west turn. And Bill Muncy probably pretty discouraged. Maybe he's still trying to get her started. All he has to do is finish, and he can pick up enough points. He's right by buoy 9. Here comes Maverick, the only boat left in what started out to be a 3-boat field. At the end of 7 laps, Maverick out in first place. 92 miles an hour for Maverick on that last time around. She's been hitting between 95 and 100 pretty consistently. Everybody with their eyes on Muncie. Let's see whether or not he's able to start Miss Thriftway. It's pretty tough to change an engine and have it sustain itself, and I don't know how bad the damage is to Hawaii Kai. We're in the 8th lap, and 1 boat left in, Maverick. Bill Stead, a young man from Reno, Nevada, who last year used to sit out there in the middle of the water quite a bit, had a lot of rotten luck. And this year, things are turning out differently for him, as he's outlasted all competition and is able to go the distance here, he hopes. We're in the 8th lap. Maverick just pursuing her way around the course. So this for him is a Sunday ride. And for you folks, a chance to concentrate and really watch a boat in performance. You see where that U-12 is? Well, that's right back of that is what they call a sponson. And the tail fin that marks the Maverick as differentiated from the Shanty. So here we are halfway through the west turn of the 8th lap. Maverick, the only boat left in the field at the moment. The wind begins to freshen up a little bit. We're just inches away from maybe having a little bit of rain every once in a while. In fact, we've had a few drops here and there. And Maverick is taking no chances at all. She'll just go real easy, slow, and careful. This is the end of lap number 8. Maverick all by herself. A check on Muncie reveals that he's floated off the course. He's still over there by buoy 9. His time is, his miles per hour for Maverick, 96.428 unofficially. Of course, he'll have to move fairly good, because if he wants to get in there for that totally elapsed time for the Apple Cup, he could be frittering away a lot of valuable time here. We had just wanted to mention, too, that because of the terrific mortality rate in these various heats, we haven't had an opportunity to show you the working ability of our hydrobrain. You have to have 3 or 4 boats on the course, and all of them in different spots out there to really get full value out of it. When you get just 2 out here, why, with our mile-high camera, we can give you a pretty good overall perspective. And in this particular case, the boat you're watching, that is it in Heat 2B. It's Maverick, it's Bill Stead, and here's the dead one, Miss Thriftway, Bill Muncie at the wheel. Kaiser Aluminum Foil bringing you this race, the first annual Apple Cup, which saw 7 boats qualify, and we're now down to a field that'll be under 5, I think, just at a rough guess. I think maybe, of course, the Hawaii Kai will be able to get an engine change, at least be out there and eligible for the money prize. Out of that west turn area, we come up now for the 10th and final lap, the completion of the 9th lap, as Maverick doesn't go too hard, but she could be killing some of her totally elapsed time. The rain is coming down a little stronger, and we could catch it out here real good pretty soon. End of lap 9, Maverick in first place. She took over in the 7th lap. She started in 3rd in a 3-boat field. From the looks of the hills down there in the east turn, it looks like the rain could be on us real hard in a very short while as the folks here on the beach get ready to go back under the trees. We're approaching the east turn for this 1 boat, Maverick, Bill Stead at the wheel. And the rain begins to come down. And this for us is a familiar situation. Do I have to mention Detroit, gentlemen? Halfway out of the... the wind is really blowing up now, real good. We can feel that rain coming down real good, too. Up out of the east turn now on our 10th and final time around the course. Maverick. And now Bill Stead moves her out a little bit as we get a tarpaulin over the camera. Three-quarters of the way through the back stretch. Maverick. Phil Schwartz just made the comment, get her in out of the rain. Phil, these are water boats. We're approaching the west turn. 10th and final time around the course in Heat 2B. One boat left out of 3. Hawaii Kai back to the pits. And Thriftway dead in the... And here is Thriftway getting started, maybe. We have seen Bill start a boat like this before. Is he going to do it? I think that he's going to do it. Maybe. Keep your fingers crossed. Bill Munsey, a terrific competitor. Trying to get the boat started, trying to finish. He'll have 30 minutes to finish. Here's the end of the race. Maverick out in front. And Bill Munsey trying to get his boat started. Let's see if he can. Oh, he has 30 minutes. At 96 miles an hour, Maverick completed the course and is the winner of Heat 2B. That gives her another 400 points. Maverick going into the east turn, and Munsey out in the water. If he can get started, doesn't turn off. He's drifted pretty far inshore, but it looks like he's still trying. So your big battle out here, remember some of the rules that I gave you. 30 minutes he has to complete his time around the course between when Maverick finished and when he would still be eligible to finish and get a second place out of it. And the rain is beginning to come down harder. So the big tension out here at the moment is what Thriftway's going to do. But whether or not he'll be able to start, that's the moot point. But all have their eyes trained on Bill Munsey. Meanwhile, Maverick is cruising around out here, and we'll go back to the pits very shortly. And for Bill Stead in Maverick came up with a total overall time of 18 minutes 30 seconds and an average speed of 97.4. That's unofficial. So taking a look around the course, there's Maverick. She's up in the west turn, and Munsey, he's pretty thoroughly dead out there in that east turn area and drifting in closer to shore all the time. And the rain comes down harder. Munsey still trying to get started. Wears battery out there, of course, and then that'll be the end of it. He wants to get in that final heat for the money. That's a real competitor for you. Here is Maverick, winner of Heat 2B, the only boat left after 3 started. Hawaii Kai back to the pits. And coming down to the pits down the east turn area is Maverick with Bill Stead at the wheel. That's a glimpse of the Maverick crew that you had there just a moment ago. You have a patrol boat hovering nearby for Munsey. Coming up to him. If they throw a line to him, of course, he'll be all through. All right, Tommy Dargan, what say you?
Oh, we just got hit with a spray of water as the Maverick.
Munsey, well, looked like he was going to get us started for a minute. That's the closest he's come. Bill Munsey still striving desperately to get that boat started. He has, of course, less than 30 minutes now. Let's see if he's going to be able to make it go. Munsey wants to get into that final heat. He has to have some points. Is he going to be able to make it go? Here's a boy that's really trying hard. Wants that engine to start. Will he be able to make it? You know, they all kid him about his starting ability, but boy, this kid started under some of the roughest conditions possible. So your big thing of the moment is, will Bill Munsey be able to get his boat started and complete another 7 laps or so that he has left before the time has elapsed? He has a total of 4 laps, actually, to go. He went out at the 7th lap.
On the clock here with a man with 800 points. Well, Bill, Intrepid Dargan is out here again.
Roving TV reporter.
Roving TV reporter. Bill, did those raindrops bother you?
It got kind of hard to see. That's why I came in out here.
Well, Bill, you've got to... After watching the line while they tow him in. Now, let's watch our little craft, too. Bill, you've got a minimum of 800 points.
Sounds good.
How about your overall speed? What do you think you did?
Oh, I was really just loafing around, so I know it wasn't too high. We just took it easy that time. Nothing like the 108 we did last time, average.
That was your 108 in the previous heat.
Right. Is that the top speed so far, Bill? I think that's the highest anybody's ever done on a 3-mile course, as far as I know.
I believe that's correct. Just a minute, we're losing him. Our weldy power is giving out. If that is the case, 108 miles per hour, which I do believe is the highest speed ever attained on a 3-mile course, why, that'll be a bonus 400 points for him, too. So, in the rain and in the wet, well, you know, the funniest part of this is that Weldy is still smiling. He's doing a good job, and this is the first rowboat that you've ever seen go faster than an unlimited hydroplane, because we're pulling up slowly on Maverick U-12, which has, right now, about 1,200 points. And Bill Stead's a very happy young man, as we sure the people are in the Wagoner pit. All right, a hard port there, Weldy. Bill, congratulations. What are you going to do in the third heat now? What are you going to do in the third heat?
Well, we don't know who's going to be in it. We'll go fast if we have to, or slow if we can.
Is the boat performing right for you?
Very good. Perfect shape.
Well,
Good crew.
that's it. Bill, like all the drivers, just said good crew, and the boat is working well for him. When he did slow down a little bit, he was just taking it easy to save the boat. Nobody running against him. So, the boat is in good shape, and if we do have a third heat out here, why, I think that we can safely say, even without knowing at this moment the condition of Swiftway or Hawaii Kai, that Bill Stead is definitely going to be in there. Tom, let's swing over, if you've still got the stamina, and take a look at Hawaii Kai on the other side of the Maverick. The boys have got Hawaii Kai up on the cradle. Happened.
I believe from out from the boat out there that we snapped another quill shaft, because he did continue along at 50 miles an hour, which is indicative of this.
We saw him throw up his hands in a gesture of, what can I do now, down here on the east turn.
He may be criticized for getting ahead of the field and then keeping his foot right into the throttle all the time, but that was what he was told to do, because he had to go for broke on that one. He had to establish a new heat record in order to win this race. Had he won that particular heat and established a new heat record, would have given him 800 points.
Right.
And almost he could make out any way he wished on the third heat, the last heat, and probably would have come up with a win.
Well, now, Ted, we had an interesting case there in that last heat of the Allison versus the Rolls-Royce. Of course, the Hawaii Kai with its Rolls-Royce did not fare too well on this particular occasion. What is the trouble over there?
Well, once his instructions were to get behind the Kai and push it until it blew the engine, and that's what happened. We always had to think of something.
The only boat out here that you did not design, I believe, that started today was Miss Bardall, the former Tempest.
That's right, sir.
And all the rest of them are yours, including the radical new Thriftway 2, which did not qualify. Did owner Willard Rhodes purposely decide to not push the boat along too rapidly?
No, we made no attempt at qualification. I made some runs out here checking propellers, and we finally found one to use. And then after making several fast laps, we found a particular propeller crack. So we were, you might say, propellerless for this race with respect to Thriftway 2.
You've ridden the boat, and according to reports here lakeside, you looked sensational driving it and took it into the turn down here at a very fast clip. How did it handle up there in the front?
Actually, it was beyond my expectations. I expected to make several laps to get accustomed to driving up in the front. But once around felt so good, I thought I might as well blow it into the turn, and it worked good. And I attempted to get the other drivers, the rookie drivers, to do this too.
All right, thanks very much, Ted Jones. We appreciate you coming and standing in the rain here. You can go back to the shelter over in the Driftway pits now. Thank you very much. And remains to be seen as to whether this race continues or is called or just what happens.
Hi, Fred, what's wrong? Here's Fred Schaefer. What's wrong with the boat, Fred? Secret the road? Okay, Fred Schaefer won't talk. Let's go, kid. We'll get along and see. Bill Muncie is coming in. Billy? Oh, Maury, what's wrong? Jack? Well, there's Jack and Willard Rhodes are talking now about it. We'll hang right here. Maury, you don't know what's wrong, right?
It acts very much like a blower coupler, Tom, and we won't know till Bill explains more how it acted.
Now, between the two, the people on the shore don't realize that Wahoo must make an extra lap. Maverick is out in front. Not by much, but she's out in front. Over the line. End of lap 9. 1 second difference between the two boats. Maverick in first, Wahoo in second. But Wahoo has an extra lap to go. And now Wahoo goes out after him. He'll have no way of knowing until he comes around and doesn't get the checkered flag that he must make an extra lap. Unless he realized there when he turned down inside the 1,000-foot mark at the gun. The rain is beginning to come down a little bit. It is Wahoo hot after. And it looks like Maverick will take all the marbles if he can last. Meanwhile, the Hawaii Kai is sitting dead off the top of the west turn. And fast work by the crane. Here's your lead boat going into the turn for the 10th and final time. And Wahoo coming after a real great. Wahoo will have to go an extra lap. And it could be tough to see in this dark weather. All right, here we go. A hot streak now down this line. They've got to come up with a checkered flag for the lead boat, but they've got to give that other flag, the green and white flag, to the second place boat. There's your winner, Maverick.
In that race at Chelan, it would seem that Maverick had shed that bad luck jinx that she'd inherited in the year of 1956. But by the same token of racing luck, her sister ship, Shanny One, driven by a very competent boy known as Rush Schley, she seemed to come in for her share of bad luck.